Hey there, creepy peeps, and welcome to another stale movie review. Actually, it is a remake versus original for Black Christmas. Really quick, before I get into anything else, I want to say a quick thank you to my creepy patron peeps. Thank you so much for your support of my channel. If you want to find out the perks to being a creepy patron peep, you can follow the link in the description box as well as the clickable link at the end of the video. I'm going to put, for the rest of the video, all of the original, all the info about the original in green and everything having to do with the remake in red. You know, as it's Christmas, red and green. Just to keep things organized later. So like I said in my Dissecting the Macabre for Black Christmas, the premise is super simple. A sorority is stalked by a crazy psycho killer on Christmas Eve. First and foremost, favorite thing about Black Christmas is the mystery of the killer. You never actually even see their face. The most you see of his face is his eye, and that's it. You don't know who he is. You don't know why he's going after this sorority house in particular. You don't know anything about him, and that makes it terrifying because it puts you in that position when you're watching it like, well, if this person has seemingly chosen this house at random, then that means that could happen to me. Somebody could just choose my house at random with no real motive. That's scary. That also, you know, puts you in that position of not being in control because you can't figure out what his next move is because you don't know his motive. So so it's like you're fearful for the other characters, and if you were to be in that position, you'd be fearful as well because you don't know why it's happening, so you can't really react. I love how the kills are done in the original. I like how it's all like revealed later, so you kind of like, it's kind of implied really when somebody gets killed. Like you'll see them maybe initially get attacked and then it cuts away. You don't actually see them die, and then a little bit later it'll cut to their body. Either just the camera is going to cut to it or another character finds the body and then you're able to see. I feel like it's most effective with the plastic bag kill. Like you understand how she's dying, but you don't see the whole thing, and then it cuts to her in the rocking chair later up in the attic, and it's very, just seeing her face and the plastic bag still over her head, it's very startling and disturbing, and I love it. And lastly, I could go on and on about this movie, but like I said, I'm trying to keep it short, so if it seems like I don't like a lot about this movie, I do. I just don't want to go on forever. I love the humor in the movie. All of the humorous characters are adults. Like, you have Mrs. Mac, you have Claire's father, who is, I don't think he's intentionally humorous, but I think just kind of like his awkwardness and his like propriety, like he seems like a very proper man. It's like subtle humor. And then of course you have Officer Nash and all of his, like, he's kind of like a bumbling officer and doesn't get all the jokes, like the fellatio joke and things like that. So I love that all of the silly humorous characters are adults and the college kids are actually more serious, and usually it's kind of the other way around. The only thing that I don't like about the original Black Christmas is I'm just not a super big fan of our protagonist Jess. I think like the performance is good, like that's fine. It's just like as a character, I don't really connect to her that much. Like, not to say that she's not developed or anything, which she is. Like, you know, you understand enough about her, I think. Personally, I just don't feel any connection to her. Right, now on to the remake. So the premise is kind of the same, except they add a whole lot more backstory to Billy. So it's a sorority that is living, they know that they are living in the house of this killer who has been since locked away in a mental institution, and they're celebrating Christmas when they start dying one by one. So let's get into what I liked about the remake. I do like that the kills were, you know, a little more grisly. It's not like the original where it's like kind of like implied and then you see the aftermath later. You actually see these girls getting killed in pretty brutal ways. Like Michelle Trenchenberg, is that how you say her last name? I don't know. Her head just gets like, you know, cut in half and you see like her brains everywhere and stuff. That's pretty cool. And I also like how I feel like they kind of kept with the urban legend thing going on from the original. So if you remember my Dissecting the Macabre video, I talked about how Black Christmas was in part based on the babysitter and the man upstairs urban legend. And I kind of like how they kind of kept that air about it in the remake. So like I said, the girls are aware that their sorority house used to be the house of somebody named Billy, who had a very crazy, batshit crazy and tragic life and killed his whole family on Christmas. And then, you know, got shipped away to some psych ward somewhere. So they're fully aware of that, and it's like a tradition that they do Secret Santa every year at Christmas, and somebody always draws Billy's name and gets a present for Billy, and it's very urban legendy. So I kind of like how they kept with that a little bit, even though it's not exactly the same. On to what I didn't like about the remake. Definitely gave Billy way too much backstory. It's kind of like, if you saw my post on my blog, which the link to that is in the description box, I kind of talked about that because there's a lot of similarities between Black Christmas and Halloween. And I realized as I was writing it that both movies, Black Christmas and Halloween, had remakes that gave our mysterious killer way too much backstory and kind of ruined what made the killer scary. And I actually think Black Christmas, the remake, did it way worse than the Halloween remake. Because there's at least a little backstory in the original Halloween, and Rob Zombie kind of just embellishes on it a little bit more. Black Christmas, there is no story whatsoever. And then in the remake, they just came up with like the craziest story ever. I think it's way worse. There's like the whole thing with like, he has like a liver disease and his skin is yellow, and it's crazy. It's almost like, I feel like they watched the original and they decided that this killer was just completely just the ultimate psychotic, crazy person. And so they felt like they had to come up with like the craziest backstory that they could to match. Like, it's like we have to come up with something completely insane, because like how else are you gonna get this person that's completely insane? So they came up with like the craziest thing. There's like incest involved, and his skin is yellow, and it's weird. It's too weird. Way too over the top. Completely takes away any fear that you had of the killer in the original. And there's no shock of him being there. Like in the original movie, you have that babysitter and the man upstairs moment when they finally are able to trace the call and they realize it's coming from the other line in the house. So you have that good moment where, you know, you have Detective Nash screaming on the phone at Jess to get out of the house, and you can hear him in the background as she's kind of just like slowly, like terrifyingly looking upstairs, realizing that this person has been in the house the whole time. And it's a great moment, and you really lose that, I think, in the remake, because there's no contact with the police or anything, so they kind of just figure it out on their own, and I feel like the shock is lessened. So, which is the better one? Obviously the original. I like the original way, way better. It does so much right. And the remake just kind of takes all the things that, at least for me, I love about the original and just completely ruins it. So that being said, I'm gonna give the original a 5 out of 5, while I'm gonna give the remake a 2 out of 5. Neither of these movies have a Roger Ebert rating, so that takes care of that. On IMDb, the original has a 7.2 out of 10. Well, the remake has a 4.6 out of 10. And then on Rotten Tomatoes, the original has a 67% critic score and a 75% audience score, while the remake has a 14% critic score and a 37% audience score. Obviously, you're able to watch both of these movies on Amazon Video. I'm not sure about the remake, but I know the original is on Shudder as well. So you can definitely check that out there if you want. Obviously, let me know in the comment section which is your favorite. I feel like it's kind of gonna be unanimous, but let me know your thoughts on the remake and where it stands with you in the world of horror remakes. Is it like the worst one you've ever seen, the best one you've ever seen? Let me know. I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new here and become a creepy peep today. I post videos Monday through Friday. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay strange. Bye!